So I was recently rewatching Everything Everywhere All at Once for the manyth time and enjoying Michelle Yeoh's amazing performance. But afterwards, I found out her part was actually written for another actor. I was like, what? So I looked into actors who took a role originally written for another actor. Turns out there are some huge ones. Everything Everywhere All at Once was the breakout hit of 2022. Wait, was it also the breakout hit of all things, universes, and timelines? I don't know. I'm gonna stick to the timeline and universe we know. And here it was a big old smash. It was anchored around the insanely fun performance Michelle Yeoh gave as she moved from character to character, universe to universe, being a general badass. So it must have been written with her in mind, right? Nope. Turns out the directors, the Daniels, totes had Jackie Chan in mind when they wrote it. But when they hit the casting phase, they were having trouble envisioning Jackie, or any dude for that matter, playing the part. And they also realized they knew the perfect woman for it already, Michelle Yeoh. She was actually cast as a different part in the movie already, and they said she felt like family, like their aunt. They shifted gears so hard they decided that if she said no, they might just bail on the movie altogether. No pressure, Auntie Michelle, just the fate of a hit movie in your hands. Fortunately, she leapt at the chance, and the rest is history. Or present, or future. I'm still fuzzy on how the multiverse works, you guys. Speaking of things being a little fuzzy, when Idris Elba starred in The Suicide Squad in 2021, it was unclear if he was replacing Will Smith, who had starred in the previous version. Director James Gunn and Elba himself tried to unfuzzy it, saying that he wasn't replacing anyone. Gunn even created a new character called Bloodsport. But anyone with the power of human observation could see Bloodsport was basically a rehashed version of Will Smith's Deadshot. They both had not-so-great attitudes, wore full metal masks, and had basically one person who meant anything to them, their daughter. Then there was the teensy little detail that Smith had actually signed on to return as Deadshot but ended up backing out. So yeah, while Gunn, with Idris playing along, tried to use the Force to pull a "these aren't the droids you're looking for" on us, it was pretty transparent that Idris was playing a role literally written for Will Smith from the previous movie. And speaking of pulling fast ones, I just found out that The Rock wasn't the original choice for Hobbs in the Fast and the Furious series. So who were they after before him? Another muscly action star? Yeah, no, it was Tommy Lee Jones. And no offense, but he was literally 65 years old at that point. I'm not trying to be ageist here, but would they have written a broken hip into the script if he got one while filming? I kid. I'm sure he would have been great in his own way. But it's pretty hilarious to me that the two options for Hobbs were Tommy Lee Jones and The Rock. It's like if they said our top two choices for the next Marvel hero are Zendaya or Dame Maggie Smith. It was also hilarious to find out why they ended up offering the role to The Rock once Tommy was out. According to Vin Diesel, a random fan named Jen Kelly told him that she'd love to see him and The Rock on screen together. So he talked to the producers and they offered Johnson the role. I'm sorry, what? They're making huge decisions about blockbuster movies based on the input of Jen Kelly, random fan? That's wild. Another wild one was the casting process for Beverly Hills Cop. At the time, it was unheard of for a comedian like Eddie Murphy to play an action star, which is probably why the first script for BH Cop, a nickname for the movie I just came up with, called for Sylvester Stallone to play Axel Foley. He was even signed on until 2 weeks before shooting started, but Sly was secretly rewriting the script, removing all the comedy elements from it and changing it into a standard action flick. He changed the ending to have him driving a tricked-out Lambo and doing a game of chicken with a freight train that the bad guy was in. He made a ton of other big changes too, including making his character's name Axel Cobretti. The folks at Paramount were finally like, okay, that's probably enough, Rocky. We'll catch you on the next one. Sly took his ideas for the movie, including the last name Cobretti, and just repurposed elements of it for his movie, Cobra. So things worked out just fine for him. But the studio had a mad scramble to find a replacement. Luckily, Eddie Murphy agreed, and the movie raked in more than any other that year. Speaking of showing us the money, let's talk about Jerry Maguire.
Show me the money!
Writer and director Cameron Crowe wrote the part of Jerry Maguire for Tom Hanks, but he was too swamped to take it on. He was actually getting ready to direct his own movie for the first time, the incredible That Thing You Do. So Cameron had to find his next Jerry. He turned to an equally big star in Tom Cruise, who signed on. But in a very Cruise-like move, they spent the next 9 months making sure the script was perfect for Cruise. And hey, mission accomplished. It even got Cruise an Oscar nod. TBH, both Jerry Maguire and That Thing You Do are utter classics, so I don't think anybody made a bad decision there. Jurassic Park is another classic, and it almost starred none other than Indiana Jones himself, Harrison Ford. The director, Steven Spielberg, heard of him? Had already worked with Ford in all the Indiana Jones flicks, so he was ready to get that magic going again with a bunch of dinosaur co-stars. But for unknown reasons, Ford said no, so Spielberg cast Sam Neill as the male lead in the movie, Alan Grant. In retrospect, the real stars were the dinos anyway, so it worked just fine. Either way, Sam Neill killed it, and the movie was a monster hit. Sadly, Harrison Ford was never heard from again. All this is just a reminder that even if you get offered a huge Hollywood role, you might end up getting replaced by like The Rock or Tom Cruise. Sorry about that. You did your best, and I'm proud of you either way. Anyway, if you can think of other actors who starred in roles written for other people, hit us up in the comments.